Welcome to the webinar Overview of the CCSPM Model. This webinar provides an overview of the Curriculum-Centered Strategic Planning and Management Model. The CCSPM model has been designed, developed, and is provided by Michael G. Dolans and Associates. The CCSPM is designed specifically for higher education. This webinar provides a brief overview of the basic design elements of the model and is intended to answer the question, what is the CCSPM? As you step through this webinar, it may be helpful to reflect upon how you may use it in your institution. The CCSPM can be used to capitalize on planning already in place. It can be used to tune your existing strategic plan or use portions to strengthen an existing process. The CCSPM can be used to begin a new cycle of strategic planning, develop an academic strategic plan, or develop a plan for the integration of various planning outcomes into a cohesive academic initiative. Or you can use the CCSPM to address specific needs such as enrollment problems, resource issues, facilities utilization or development issues, competitive pressures, and much more. The CCSPM is composed of 7 basic elements. The first element is composed of key performance indicators. The second focuses upon the curriculum and occupies the center of the model. The third element involves the systematic assessment of the external environment. The fourth is the systematic assessment and development of the organization. The fifth element in the CCSPM is the cluster of formal institutional, strategic, operational, and action planning processes. Sixth involves the implementation of plans and their integration into managing the academic enterprise. The seventh and final element is the systematic evaluation of the planning and management processes as they inform continuing operations and organizational development. Each element in the model is actually a rich function in and of itself, replete with individual models, processes, and methodologies that give great depth and extraordinary power to the CCSPM. At the center of the curriculum-centered strategic planning model is a learner-centered curriculum. The learner-centered curriculum is shaped by 7 key questions whose answers form the basis for understanding and developing curriculum. The first question asks, what are the demographic and behavioral characteristics of the learners that an institution seeks or is required to serve? The answer helps the academic in us better understand the people for whom our curriculum is being designed and developed. The second question asks, what objectives do those learners seek to achieve? The answer helps us better understand the motivational forces at work and the subsequent decision processes related to engaging a curriculum. The third question asks, what learning opportunities are available from the global learning environment? The answer helps us recognize the characteristics, dimensions, and learning opportunities competing for the learner's attention. It also helps us understand innovations being tried elsewhere, as well as approaches inappropriate for us to attempt, or even for the learner to engage. The fourth question asks, what teaching and learning methods are available and appropriate to help specific learners seeking specific objectives achieve their intended learning outcomes? Answers to this question begin to inform the curriculum design and development process. They also help ensure that the curriculum as designed is as effective as it can be. The fifth question asks, what options are available from the overall curriculum architecture of the institution? The answer to this question requires that we document and understand the architectural specifications of the various curricula under an institution's purview, and that we begin to align the architecture with learners whom we wish or are required to serve. The sixth question gets more specific and asks, what is the configuration of specific programs of study being selected from the curriculum? The answer to the question of how curriculum is configured guides the design, development, and delivery of the various programs of study in the curriculum to the learners under our charge. The seventh question asks, what learner services are necessary to enable a learner to successfully complete the selected program of study within the curriculum? The question itself recognizes the importance of learner services to the learning process. Answers to this question help curriculum designers forge a comprehensive inventory of enabling services to address the various issues learners must overcome to successfully engage the learning required in a program of study. Together, the answers to these 7 questions help develop a learner-centered philosophy that is at the heart of the curriculum-centered strategic planning process. Within the CCSPM toolkit, There are a number of tools, methods, models, strategies, and processes available to enhance the effective development and management of the curriculum and the academic enterprise and infrastructure that supports it. Informing the management process for the curriculum and the academic enterprise are key performance indicators, commonly referred to as KPIs. KPIs are numbers an institution and its constituents use to determine how the institution is doing. They measure the performance of the many activities an institution must do to deliver quality learning experiences while remaining fiscally healthy. KPIs are the primary element in establishing evidence-based decision-making. Each key performance indicator is usually the result of a synthesis and often an analysis of a more complex family of numbers. For example, recruitment success requires measurement of the conversion of suspects to prospects, then prospects to enrollees in order to be useful. Understanding retention requires measuring enrolled students' persistence through a program of study until graduation. Financial KPIs include such elements as revenue and the revenue capacity of a curriculum, as well as achieving and sustaining an investment margin to ensure quality. Measuring student success may require that an institution measure not only completion rates, but also placement in advanced academic programs or careers, as well as advancement in those careers and advanced programs. Operational KPIs deal with concepts such as measuring the proportion of objectives completed of those attempted. They also are concerned with measuring overall effectiveness, efficiency, and satisfaction with such things as policies, processes, and procedures. These examples, while not exhaustive, provide a framework for understanding what KPIs are and how they are used in the CCSPM. KPIs extend well beyond these few examples. External environmental assessment involves the systematic evaluation of external factors. Awareness and understanding of the forces external to the institution are essential in creating and sustaining a viable institution and a healthy curriculum. External factors include, but are not limited to, such things as political, economic, societal, and technological trends, competitors and their strategies and initiatives, changes across the higher education sector of the economy, such as changes in federal and state funding, changes in information systems functionality, changes in accreditation standards and processes, and changes across the host of academic disciplines. All must be monitored and understood. Learning market shifts to other provider types, such as online integrated learning systems, or the proliferation of commercial learning operations. A host of other possible trends and events may have to be considered when developing strategic, operational, or action plans. The primary purpose of monitoring and assessing the external environment is to identify potential opportunities and threats. One of the fundamental purposes of strategic planning and management is to identify and exploit opportunities and to identify and mitigate threats. These represent the O and the T in a classic SWOT analysis. Continuous assessment and development of the organization's capabilities and performance is essential. This includes, but is not limited to, such things as vision, trust, focus, and inspiration of and by leadership. Management structures and the policies, processes, procedures, systems capabilities, systems utilization, and performance that emanate from them, and the capabilities and capacities of the organization's workforce, such as knowledge and skill acquisition and application. It also includes such core competencies as system optimization, collaboration, communication, and cooperation. Together, these elements build an organizational culture of quality and success. One overarching intent is to align standards of practice within the organization with the best practices found across higher education and global learning systems. One of the primary purposes of monitoring and assessing the internal environment is to identify potential strengths and weaknesses. One of the fundamental purposes of strategic planning and management is to identify and sustain or grow strengths and to identify and mitigate organizational weaknesses. This represents the S and the W in a classic SWOT analysis. These first four elements, the curriculum, KPIs, external environmental assessment, and internal organizational assessment and development, frame the assessment phase of the CCSPM. At this point in the CCSPM model, KPIs are identified and assessed, the curriculum is structurally clarified and assessed, the external environment is assessed and opportunities and threats identified, the organization's strengths and weaknesses are identified and assessed, the curriculum's architecture is clarified and assessed, the structural alignment of programs of study with learner realities is assessed, and the structural alignment of learner services with learner realities is assessed. With the assessment phase complete, the model now enters the planning and management phase. The development of institutional strategic, operational, and action plans form the fifth integrated element supporting the curricular foundation in the CCSPM model. It begins with a SWOT analysis to determine the institutional responses to identified strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. A mission review and modification is conducted for further clarification if necessary. Strategic, operational, and action plans are then developed using a variety of tools to make strengths stronger, mitigate threats and weaknesses, and seize upon opportunities. Strategic plans focus upon institutional trajectory and position in the higher education and learning sphere, and identify key initiatives required to achieve the organization's mission. Operational plans translate the initiatives outlined in the strategic plan into projects and assign responsibility for achieving them to appropriate units and further clarify specific unit goals and objectives. Action plans assign resources and assign specific tasks to work plans, emanating from the operational plans, thereby providing the necessary resources for implementation. Plans, as they are developed and shared, detail the strategies, goals, and objectives that lead to the desired metrics and conditions described by the organization's key performance indicators. As action plans are developed, resources are identified and analyzed, schedules are determined, and project details delineated. Projects are then integrated into the institutional management process, budgets, schedules, and work plans, preparing the plans for implementation in the next phase of the model. Effective management of the academic enterprise requires all of the various organizational entities to work together to focus upon the achievement of the key performance indicators required to sustain organizational health, effectiveness, and efficiencies. The management process works best when all parties clearly understand what needs to be achieved, why, how, and by whom. This is the fundamental purpose of planning and the role plans play in the management process. But the best planning process is ineffective if it is ignored, second-guessed, marginalized, or actively resisted. No plan can be effective if it is not implemented. Integrating or fusing the planning and management processes is an effective way to mitigate these problems. There are numerous tools, methods, models, and processes embedded for use with the CCSPM to enable effective implementation. Plans are implemented by units and individuals designated in the planning process. The academic enterprise is managed through the formal implementation and evaluation of the strategies, goals, and objectives developed in the CCSPM process. SGOs are themselves monitored and evaluated and modified as necessary as their effectiveness on the organization's KPIs and efficiency become known. Key questions in the evaluation process are: was the initiative implemented according to plan? Did it achieve the expected results? Meaning, were the SGOs completed and were the desired impact on KPIs realized? What did we learn from the implementation? Are modifications required, desired, or recommended? Are modifications acted upon? Systematic evaluation unlocks the power of the integrated planning and management process outlined in the CCSPM. So that's the CCSPM overview. 7 elements integrated into one planning and management system with the curriculum at the center and the learner at its heart. Using the model, KPIs are identified, monitored, and assessed. Learner needs are identified, monitored, assessed, and addressed. The curriculum is structurally clarified, assessed, and aligned with learner needs. The external environment is assessed and opportunities and threats identified and addressed. The organization's strengths and weaknesses are identified, assessed, and addressed. The curriculum's architecture is clarified, assessed, and optimized. The structural alignment between programs of study and learner realities is achieved, as well as the structural alignment between learner services and the learner realities. Of course, there is more. The CCSPM is supported by a host of tools, processes, and models designed to help manage the academic enterprise. The CCSPM can be used in part or in its entirety. The CCSPM can be used in any sequence, and use can start at any stage of the planning process.